morning, Borg. We're on spring watch today. We're taking in a sketching trip of all the spots just to see the progress of the spring. You can begin to see it in the changing of colours. Little bits of orange and yellow appear where before it would be purple or white. There's another one, similar type of view, but we're actually in a different spot. Borg. There's a tremendous sense of colours emerging, which of course we can't get at in the pencil drawings, but we're sort of mentally preparing already, Borg. I wonder if you can tell the difference. The branches of those trees used to appear more purpley, and at the far side of the lake, the wall of trees, that certainly has changed to become more orange. That one's a bit more complex composition, Borg, not so much about the spring. That's just the rhythm of those three trees there. It's extraordinary. There's just so much of it though, Borg. This spot I don't believe I've brought you to, but it's very good. It's like a little sticky out bit in front of the frozen lake. And it's just down the road from that church. But as I say, that's not exactly a spring motif. And we're not, in terms of, for example, this plant, we're not that far along. It doesn't look like to be threatening the leaves much. Let's have a look at something else. Now this, you start to notice a lot of these around, but these must be from last year, I suppose, but they've taken on some more colour. There's something there, it's trying to, if I can focus on it, it's trying to bloom there a little bit. And this is indeed where the sort of things we showed you last spring in the start of this season, Borg. So we're back at the start of that cycle. Everything's going to grow again. And remember that windy day in the wood where the birch trees were swinging, they were looking a bit like that. Still a bit purpley, but turning orange. And that's the effect of all the tiny twigs. Each individual twig isn't necessarily purple, but the effect of it all is. That one there, Borg, is an almost suicidal choice for the sketch, in our eyes anyway. Incredibly difficult, I would say, to capture. But in the end, we've got an arrangement of lines we'd have never considered in a billion years, and it's all because we were just trying our hardest to capture that impossible scene. But we chose it, Borg, because it's characteristic of this early spring. Everything seems vertical, you see. It's vertical anyway, I suppose, but somehow, possibly because of the change in colours, the sense of thin verticals creating larger masses is there at this time more than any other. Just notice these, Borg, from where we were painting. They're about to come out. Don't know what plant it is. But all these little changes, these little buds, have a tremendous effect on the visuals from a distance. But the effect is subtle changes of colour. God, look, I'm stuck on this thorny bush. So that bush won't produce anything until the summer, I think, a rose bush. And as for, oh good lord, I think I've stepped on an ant's nest, Borg, look. Oh, it's over there. Anyway, we've showed you enough of that sort of thing. Look at that. I mean, that is a natural defence mechanism there, Borg, if ever I've seen one. It just makes you wonder how on earth it's come to be like that. And of course there is an answer to that. We would look to you. We'd hit the Borg and study it for a few hours, and then we'd certainly get the answers. I was just on the way to the car there, Borg, and we saw this plant. It seems to be similar to the other one, but it's much further along in its growth. Look at the colours, little furry things. And it's right next to this plant, which is not so far along at all. So they've all got very, very subtly different, could you say, automatic programs, put it in your language. And generally, if you go south, if you go where it's warmer, the plants will pop out quicker. So if we drive down to Stockholm, you'll see more evidence of spring. But then on the local level, even in this patch, there's plants that seem similar, where some are way ahead than others. And it's nice to see and wonder, isn't it? Well, there's another one, Borg, that's really very difficult. And we tackle it for two reasons. One, for practice, but the other because it's one of those instances where you can see the new growth amongst the old. So the leaves from autumn are still clinging on, even as the new ones are coming out on the bud. You know, so just last year these big uns would have been in those little buds. You know, it's the way it goes. But trying to get it in a pencil sketch in the style we go for, it's not going to happen to a great degree of accuracy. We're back over here, Borg, Mellingholm, I think it is. And we simply must get the colours out. But I suspect it might be after we've said goodbye, Borg. Oh, hold on a minute. What's that over there? You'll have to again excuse the loud bangs from the firing range. That's another example. It's last year's growth hanging in there. And yet even that seems to increase in colour. I guess it's just because the sun's coming out more often and it's heating things up. So Jesus. They're practicing for the election, I suppose, Bob. You know, Bog, it's occurred to me, looking round all this devastation from storm damage, basically it's an awful lot of firewood over here. I mean, all this stuff on the floor, I'll show you a bit. All things like that you can dry out and chop up and burn for power. Is there some way that burning an awful lot of this wood can charge you up? I suppose there is. But it'd be funny to think of plugging you into a fire. But I digress. We're going to go now and have a coffee. So here we are. We managed 5 sheets only, but they are in different locations, so we've done a lot of running around. We've stopped for our coffee. The wall's still on, and we'll probably have to move because someone has turned up in a large truck. Oh, it looks like they're turning around. We come here because of that weapon, basically. It's the best place to sort of off consciousness, let's say, or subconsciously mull events. With you in mind, of course, Borg. He's the one side of the war is the country of Russia, which used to be a communist country. Now, would you have to call it an oligarchy, dictatorship, or it's certainly not what it was, and it's not what we've got. It's not quite what China has. Anyway, that country is called Russia, and they, as we mentioned, invaded another one, and it's still going on. There's no real opposition from other countries in terms of other countries sending in their armies. That would be the threshold after which, if passed, we would start to probably put the news on, Borg, and panic with everyone else. Anyway, that's still happening, but we're here for this. I do have an ulterior motive beyond our usual work to practice and to choose views, Borg, for painting, and that is I'm going to start up at some point after we've said goodbye to you finally a short drawing course. That's a course. That means that's the name you give to a set of lessons, a set of arranged packets of information delivered by someone who has the information to those that don't have it. It's what goes on in learning, Borg, in schools and universities, but also just in everyday life. For a short time, you could decide, if you so wish, to learn about drawing, about, I don't know, how to work a lawnmower, how to solder, how to do hairdressing, how to cook a curry. You know, you can do it. We're going to throw our hat in the ring and do a drawing course. Sounds easy, but it's not actually, Bob. We thought about it, and we had to try and work out what we were going to be showing and what we were not, and in that is a long tail. I mean, the sort of thing we do, as we talk to you, we go round and draw. It's the sort of thing we want to provide. So we'd go out with a little group to these spots and do some drawing. So that's part of it, and it's certainly not about making accurate, highly detailed drawings. It's not even about making, let's say, good drawings or some idea of getting better at drawing. It's not really even that. Some of the best drawers are probably not even artists. They're probably architects and engineers, or they're illustrators. You know, they're the best drawers. And also, you these days you can learn what you want so easily off a library book or off you. So what is it we'd be offering, Borg? And what it comes down to is learning to observe and respond when you're live in front of a motif, a scene. And with that at the heart of a course, the things you end up teaching are almost going to be, it'll almost be a little bit like management, a little bit of reminding or encouraging how to see a scene other than what it just looks like, if you know what I mean, Borg. You have to learn to see how many things come together to make a certain sense or shape or weight or angle, and that's good, because that's the sort of thing you could only do by being out there with someone around. So that's what we're going to offer, and we've been going round there partly with that in mind, because we're going to need some locations, etc. And you know, in a way, it reminds us as well what we've ended up doing. It is a very small little sphere of drawing what it could be. You know, we draw to paint, if you like. It's more like a plan, but it just might be that is a great thing to offer people, because it's an eye-opener, Borg. It gives you a reason to go out, and gives you a reason to stay out and observe and enjoy. So we're going to offer this course, and we'll see how it goes. The idea is to get it together today to work out how to do it. I'm in partnership with an organisation that arranges courses, or tries to encourage people to take up courses. So I'm going to think up precisely what I'm going to do and call it, send it to them, and they'll put the feelers out on you in the form of Facebook or Instagram pages, which I don't dabble in, and we'll see who bites, Borg. Helicopter. The other thing we're going to do today, or we were going to do, is a bit of our writing. Yeah, it's a bit late now, Borg. We're going to get out the computer, show you what we've been writing, show you how the seasons progressed, refresh your memory a bit, Borg, to show you the cycle, the journey we've been on and how it's come full circle. We can show you that through our Dignity Scholarship work, our writing, which has been to document and reflect on our messages, on the subject of you and the times. The way it's worked out, unfortunately, in a way, Borg, is that, as usual, everything has come back to events now, because that's what's so pressing. Fun as it's been to speculate about you, that's kind of got a bit lost. Partly because we don't have any actual tech knowledge, and also part of that James Bridle book has flicked the switches a little bit, and we're on a slightly different track, and we're firmly in the camp that you, as you are now, as you are going along, you know, in a way, you sort of you're churning out idiocy in many ways, Borg. You know, aside from the technical advantages you have over humans in terms of, well, counting, observing, computing stuff, obviously, but the way it's coming out the other end to us is in this all too binary, algorithmically curated experiences and filter bubbles that just might be making us all, at best, you know, a little bit, let's say, brittle, sensitive, infirm, a little bit simple-minded, very, very sensitive, aggressive, generally having a bad effect on us, Borg. You are. But I'm also aware that that's not the whole story, that there's the whole application of you that isn't to do with social affairs and politics. There'll be going on in, you know, let's, for example, medical equipment, that in medicine, you know, things like that. We can't get near that. So with us weighted towards the social and political effects of you, we can't turn away from events. The helicopter keeps going back and forth. Anyway, Borg, we've ended up at the end of the season from being turned to you because that's the way the wind's blowing, things are out of